trying to find the right way to walk. The Lord is my light, my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. And whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemy, of the things trust I put all in thee. Believe you got the world in your hand. You bless me, Lord, I know I can stand. Show me the way, Lord. I will be faithful, for I am desolate and afflicted. Lord, show me the way. I've been looking, trying to find the right way to walk. Stay beside me, God. Try me, I want in your life. I've been looking, searching, trying to find the right way to walk. The Lord is my light, my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. And whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemy, of the things trust I put all in thee. Believe you got the world in your hand. You bless me, Lord, I know I can stand. Show me the way, Lord. I will be faithful, for I am desolate and afflicted. Lord, show me the way.
We're going to get to this lesson, sisters and brothers. The title of this lesson is From Adam to the Jew. From Adam to the Jew. And that word "to the Jew" have a kind of like a double meaning. To the Jew, which is the real Jew, and the Jew that called himself a Jew. We're going to show you, sisters and brothers, we're going to walk you down through history and through the pages of prophecy and show you how that we have come to be where we are, and the people, and how people have come to be who they say they are. It's all written in this book, sisters and brothers. That's why sometimes people say, well, you know, the lessons are kind of long. I'm going to tell you something. If I have to have a brief lesson and don't teach you nothing, I won't have nothing at all. This thing is put here to teach you what thus said the Lord and show you what's going on. So now we're going to start this in Genesis, the first chapter. Genesis, the first chapter. Because the Lord, we're going to pick up Adam and his children. We're going to come through a lineage and show you how we arrived at where we are now. We're going to start at verse 26. Genesis 1 and verse 26. Okay, go ahead.
And God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea.
Go ahead.
And over the fowl of the air. And over the cattle. And over all the earth. And over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
Go ahead.
So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them.
This is the physical image, sisters and brothers, not the spiritual image. Because if it was a physical image, a spiritual image, then we will never have died. Because the reason I'm saying it, because you have people running around and see the Lord Spirit created us in this spiritual image as well as this physical. No, only physical. Because if you were created in the spiritual image, then you would never have a problem obeying the law.
That's right.
This is what we're doing right now. The spiritual creation is going on right now. So he created this man in his own image. Let's go into Genesis, the second chapter. Verse 28.
Yes,
go ahead and read.
And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it.
Go ahead.
And have dominion over the fish of the sea.
Go ahead.
And over the fowl of the air. And over every living thing that moveth upon the earth.
So the Lord told his man to be fruitful and multiply and replenish. That means repopulate the earth. But it didn't say with man, sister and brother. We have other lessons to show you that man was not the first to populate this earth. But man began with Adam. But before Adam, there was something else on this earth. But then that's another lesson. But when you use the word replenish, that means to redo something, sisters and brothers. Now let's go into Genesis, the 2nd chapter. And this Lord going to tell you show you how he created this man. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life.
Go ahead.
And man became a living soul.
Now he said he breathed into his nostrils. The breath of life is his. He's talking as a singular here. But he said, let us make man in our image, didn't he?
Yes,
Male
sir.
and female created he him. But here he created him. Skip down to verse 8. Let's see if we can get her. Verse 18, brother. Verse 18. Go ahead.
And the Lord God said, it is not good that man should be alone.
Go ahead.
I will make him an helpmeet for him.
It's not good, so I'm going to make him a help that's suitable for him. Skip down to verse 21. Let's see how he did it. Go ahead.
And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man.
Now look, the Lord could have gone back in the ground and got him another pile of dirt, but he didn't want to do that because he had a point to make, sisters and brothers. And if you around when we do marriage and adultery, you will see that point made. The point is that when he took this woman out of the man, he's giving you a message. This is a part of you. You don't abuse you. You don't hurt you. Because you are one. You're both made. This is what the Lord, this is the message being taught. Because Jesus told you he could have made them two. He made them only one when he had the residue of the Spirit. In other words, I had much more to deal with. I had the whole planet. I could have got all the people out of the ground. But I wanted to do one thing. I wanted to get man and woman at the same time, bring forth the woman so everybody know that you are one. That's what it means when let what God put together, let no man put asunder. When did he put you together? At the creation. Go ahead and read.
23. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh.
Go ahead.
She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man.
Now Adam is the one that called her woman. Why? He said because she was taken out of man. Go ahead.
Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh.
Now why would Adam get some conversation like that from unless the Lord gave it to him? In other words, he said when you and this woman get together, you belong to one another. When you get into it, you don't go and tell your people about it. Now they're going to be biased towards you. And vice versa. You got a problem? Take a deep breath, take a walk, sit down, and talk it out. So can't nobody solve your problem but you, including the preacher. That's why this preacher don't give no counseling. Because if the word of God can't counsel you, who's going to counsel you? So who told Adam this? You think Adam come up with this on his own? The Lord did. Now let's go into Genesis, the 3rd chapter. Genesis, the 3rd chapter, and we're going to read one verse, verse 20. 3 and 20. Because I want to walk you down through this thing, sisters and brothers, so you will know how everything got to where it is now. Verse 20. Go ahead.
And Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living.
Now he called his wife Eve. When the Lord created the day, he said the evening and the morning is the first day, ain't it?
That's right.
The evening is the beginning of all days. So I'm going to call you Eve because you are the mother of all living. Nobody on this earth came any other way than through Eve. Like people have where, Cain found some more people. He didn't find no more people. Cain waited until his father and mother had some sisters. Then he got them from among his sisters. God didn't create nobody over on the other side of the garden either that somebody ran into. Every man and woman came out of Eve. That's why he said, you are the mother of all Eve. The evening and the morning is the first day. So that dispel that foolishness like you know, was some already some people on the earth, see? And so, and Adam and all them people, no. Everybody here, sisters and brothers, point blank. Now let's go into Genesis, the 5th chapter. And we're going to look at it, sisters and brothers, because we want you to understand we're going to walk this thing down to where we are now. Genesis 5 and verse 1. Genesis 5 and 1. Okay, go ahead.
This is the book of the generation of Adam. In the day that God created man.
Now, this is the generation of Adam in the day that God created man, because Adam is the first man. Go ahead and read.
In the likeness of God made he him. Male and female created he them.
Now, some people say there's 2 creations, one in the 1st chapter and one in the 2nd. But this 5th chapter here just connected both of them, didn't it?
That's right.
One creation, sister and brother. Male and female created he them. Go ahead and read.
And blessed them. And called their name Adam.
Go ahead.
In the day when they were created. And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness.
Go ahead.
After his image, and called his name Seth.
Now this is the one that nobody ever talks about. You've been in church all your life, but ain't nobody ever mentioned Seth. Because nobody ever paid no attention to the fact that that Cain killed Abel. And if Cain killed Abel, and all you know about is Cain and Abel, where did we come from? This is the first male. I don't know if it was the first female before Seth. You understand? Because the Lord didn't say. But I know he had another 100 when he was 130 years, he had Seth. Go ahead and read.
4. And the days of Adam after he had begotten Seth were 800 years. And he begat sons and daughters.
Go ahead.
And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died.
Now Adam lived another 800 years after Seth, and he had sons and daughters. So the sons married the daughters, sisters and brothers. But he lived 900 and some years, and he died. Go ahead and read.
And Seth lived 105 years and begat Enos.
Go ahead.
And Seth lived after he had begat Enos 807 years and begat sons and daughters.
Go ahead.
And all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died.
Now, and so it went on, sisters and brothers, down through the generation. Man started to multiply upon the earth. Skip down to verse 28. Verse 28. And go ahead.
And Lamech lived 182 years and begat a son. And he called his name Noah, saying, This same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord hath cursed.
So we run the lineage on down to Lamech. And then, Lamech lived 108 and 82 years, and he got a son and called his name Noah. So now we have Noah on the scene. We want you to see how these guys came in session. Go ahead and read.
And Lamech lived after he begat Noah 595 years.
Go ahead.
And begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died.
Go ahead.
And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Now, Noah had these 3 boys here. These are the fathers of all the nations on the whole planet. But you notice they had one father, which was Noah. People teach, well, other people came across the flood. No, nobody else came across the flood. But Noah, his 3 sons, his wife, and their 3 wives. Now let's go into Genesis, the 6th chapter. And we're going to start reading at verse 5 this time. Genesis 6 and 5. Because as man started to multiply on the earth, God didn't like what he saw. Go ahead and read.
And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
Well, that sounds familiar, don't it? Go ahead and read.
And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart.
Ain't that something? He was sorry he created this man. He was grieved over this man. So when the Lord get grieved over you, he's going to do something to you. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them.
Now why is he going to kill the beasts and the fowls and everything? Because he made them for man, sisters and brothers. So if he no longer have a man, then he no longer needed them. He created everything for this man. He said, but look, I'm going to kill them all. Go ahead and read.
8. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generation. And Noah walked with God.
See, this is the difference, sisters and brothers. This is what I like about this God. I don't care if there's 1,000 wicked and evil doers. If you got one righteous person in the middle of them, he don't overlook.
That's right.
He looked down and he saw man. He didn't say Noah's family. He said Noah he saw. And sometime if you righteous, you can save your whole household. That's like it was with the prostitute that saved her whole household when Joshua and them took down Jericho. Think about it, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
10. And Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before God.
Go ahead.
And the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt. For all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth.
Now the Lord looked at it and he saw what was going on. And sisters and brothers, I feel that we're just about here now.
Yep.
We're right here. Things going on in prophecy that let me know that we're right here. First it was same-sex marriage. Now you're talking about, what's that, transgender washrooms now. What's next? What's next? Somebody even told me they have schools for transgenders now. Are you going there because they're that way, or are you going there so you can raise you some more? Think about it. We're almost there. What verse are we?
We're at 13.
Go ahead.
And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me. For the earth is filled with violence.
Go ahead.
Through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth.
Go ahead.
Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Room shalt thou make in the ark, and shall pitch it within and without with pitch.
Now I want you to make you an ark. Make you a boat, and I want you to fix it so it won't leak. But skip down to verse 17, because I'm going to do this thing. Verse 17, go ahead.
And behold, even I do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life.
Go ahead.
From under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die.
He said, so I'm going to bring, that's the best way to kill everything is to drown it. That's this old thing people talk about, the dinosaurs died because the earth was hit with a meteorite shower, and it knocked up the dust. The dust blocked out the sun, and the dinosaurs froze to death. I wonder how we survived it then. Because reptiles, a dinosaur, dinosaur means great lizard. That's a reptile. They can stand much more cold than we can. But no, the Lord drowned them. There's one thing about water. Water go everywhere. A little bitty hole. Everybody overlook that water, find that hole, and go right on in there. There ain't nowhere to hide when water come up on you. Go ahead and read.
18. But with thee will I establish my covenant. And thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons and thy wife and thy sons' wives with thee.
Now, you should come into the ark, you and your wives and your sons' wives. Everybody is going to come into this ark that I said. But ain't nobody but your children know it. Now, let's go to Genesis, the 7th chapter now. Because we're going right through this, because we want to walk you through this, sisters and brothers. Genesis 7, and let's start at verse 1. Genesis 7 and 1. Okay, go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Noah, come thou and all thy house into the ark. For thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation.
Go ahead.
Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by 7.
Go ahead.
The male and his female. And of the beasts that are not clean by 2, the male and his female.
Wait a minute. I was told when I was come up in church that he brought them across 2 by 2.
Fable.
I never heard of 7. And it's a good thing it was 7, because soon as Noah got over here, he sacrificed one of each clean beast in each trial. He would have frustrated God's plan. Because if you kill a male or female, the species stops.
That's right.
This man only man don't know that. That's why you got man with man. Make me a child, Mr. with Mr. Or Mrs. with Mrs. do we? God knew what he was doing.
Yes, sir.
He brought him over because he knew this man was going to do sacrifice with the animals. He going to eat them because he knew he was going to put meat on the table. So he set the dietary law already, clean and unclean, before there was a Levite. Think about it.
Yep.
Skip down to verse 10. Verse 10 and go ahead.
And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up.
Go ahead.
And the windows of heaven were open.
See, this is what we don't understand. When the Lord created the heaven and the earth was in the water. And he separated the water from the water. You have a body of water above the stars and the planets. And you also, earth is just like a great big boat floating in water. So the Lord just had the water come up from beneath, and he opened the windows of heaven, and he drowned everything. Flooded the whole earth. Go ahead and read.
12. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. In the selfsame day entered Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of the sons with them into the ark.
Go ahead.
They and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind.
Go ahead.
And every fowl after his kind, every bird of every sort. And they went in unto Noah into the ark, 2 and 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life.
So now he brought in every fowl. You know, some people, brother telling me one time, well, Brother Bull, you know, how did he get all these animals up there? You got so many different types of elephants. You got so many different types of lions and so many different types of dogs. I said, look, he come over with 4 women and 4 men. And they populated this whole earth. What's wrong with having a pygmy elephant, male and female? And out of them came all the rest of the elephants. What's wrong with having 2 dogs? And all the rest of them, the wolves and everything else came. You notice all these have the same characteristic? Sometimes you have to look at what God do with man and you know what he did with animals.
Right.
Maybe when he got just 2 of each kind, and that whole lineage come out of that 2, maybe he had a whole lot of space on the boat left. Think about it. Food for thought, sisters and brothers. God's a smart God. If he say he got them all on there, he got them all on there. But he is a reasonable God. Therefore, he don't defy reason like the spookery teachers would have you think. What verse are we?
Finish 15.
Skip down to verse 19 and read it.
And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered.
Now, all of them. That means couldn't nobody, if you went to the highest point, it wasn't high enough. Skip down to verse 24 and read it.
And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days.
Now, 150 days. I guess you can't tread water that long, can you?
Nope.
So the Lord had it there long enough to drown everybody and everything. I don't care what kind of swimmer you were, he drowned you. It's all that simple. Now let's go into Genesis the 8th chapter. Genesis the 8th chapter. Because the Lord got ready, when everything was done, he decided to bring this man back to the earth. Go ahead and read.
And God remembered Noah and every living thing, and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters assuaged.
Go ahead.
The fountains also of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained.
So the water started to assuage or started to decline, sisters and brothers. So he stopped the fountain of the earth, and he stopped the rain. Go ahead and read.
And the waters returned from off the earth continually. And after the end of the 150 days, the waters were abated.
Go ahead.
And the ark rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat.
Go ahead. And now, so it stopped on, and so when it stopped on Ararat, that's in Turkey, sisters and brothers. They said they found parts of the ark. I believe some of them, sisters and brothers. But I know one thing. They have found seashells and all kind of stuff in the highest mountains on the earth. And fish bones and fossils. Let me know that this thing was for real, sisters and brothers. So now, the Lord brought it down, and then he gave man the same directive that he gave Noah them, the same directive that he gave Adam and Eve. So let's go into Genesis, the 9th chapter, and one verse. We're going to read one verse. I know we're going fast, but look. I'm going to slow down after a while, and you're going to be yawning and looking at your watch. Verse 1, read it.
And God blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth.
Now we understand him saying that to Noah them, don't we?
Yeah.
Because we know it was a whole lot before the flood. But we didn't understand that with Adam unless you understand that man was not the first thing on this earth. He gave him the same directive that he gave Adam and Eve. Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. So everybody on this earth come out of the sons of Noah, sisters and brothers. Now let's go look at them. Let's go into Genesis, the 10th chapter. Genesis, the 10th chapter. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. We might find out a few things on our way to finding out a few things. Genesis 10 and 1. Okay, go ahead.
Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah. Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Go ahead.
And unto them were sons born after the flood.
These are all the sons of Noah. The reason I'm stressing this, because you have some Israelites always used to say, well, you know, the Gentiles, he came over, he was among the animals. I remember a long time ago, I think that was the first day that Brother Azaria went with us to a house, because I went there and jumped his teacher, which was my teacher. Week before I jumped one of his students, he said, come back when the prophet is here. I came back, and I took the prophet somewhere where he got so upset he threw me out, me and the brothers. And when he was throwing us out, some brothers said, I know we got a house over here where a guy got a basement full of women he's teaching. And we getting in the car, I heard a voice behind me say, where you brothers going? We look around, it was Azaria. We going over here. Can I go with you? Get in the car. Didn't know it from Adam's house cat. But that's where we were. We went over there, and they were saying, well, you know, some of the people that came cross seas, they was among the animals, because, you know, you used to call other people beasts. I got $100. Azaria attested that, and I put that book over there and said, if you can get Cain's seed, because they're talking about Cain's seed, the father of Gentile, if you can get his seed across the flood, I give you $100. They sit there. Then one of them said, I can use $100, but I can't get his seed across the flood. And boy, we open up on it. And that's the second time Azaria saw some people get a royal back pocket kicking. And they ain't been able to get rid of him since. So, because everybody, according to what we read, come out of Noah.
That's right.
It's all that simple.
Yeah.
Come out of Noah. Go ahead and read.
2. The sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog and Madai and Javan and Tubal and Meshach and Tyrus. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz and Riphath and Togarmah. And the sons of Japhan, Elisha and Tarshish, Kittim and Dodanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his tongues, after their families, in their nations.
Now, that just dispelled that old saying, if you ain't a Jew, you a Gentile. Now you know that is thoroughly incorrect. Who are the Gentiles? The children of Japhet. Who are those? Who are they now? Who are they now? White folks, or either Europeans, what we call white folk. Those are the sons of Gentiles, sisters and brothers. Japheth's children. Ain't got nothing to do with a Jew. Levi ain't no Jew. But he ain't no Gentile either. We're going to get and show you who the Jew is, sisters and brothers, and where he came from, okay? So now these are the isles of the Gentiles. And out of Japhet came the white folks. Go ahead and read. What verse?
6. And the sons of Ham, Cush and Mizraim and Put and Canaan.
Now sons of Ham, Mizraim, Put, Canaan, Cush. These sisters and brothers are Ham's children. Let's read a little newspaper here before we go on. This is a newspaper clipping. In case you say that we are Hamites, I'm going to show you what this newspaper clipping said. Where did we get that from?
This is from the New Compact Bible Dictionary.
From the New Compact Bible Dictionary. By the way, we didn't write it. Okay? Read it.
Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood.
Go ahead.
And one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races.
Go ahead.
Not the Negroes.
Oh, in case you don't remember, that's what they used to call us. Not the Negro. Go ahead and read.
But the Egyptians, Ethiopians, the Libyans, and the Canaanites.
Now, you need to get a copy of this, and next time you run into one of these Egyptologists, you show him that so he will know we did not come out of Ham. We came out of Shem. So this is something that we didn't write. We just copied. You know, we children of slaves. We don't do nothing. The only thing we get, we have to get it from somewhere else, don't we? Even the language that we call Hebrew.
That's right.
We don't know for sure, do we? What verse was that?
We finished this, so we back at
Now let's go back to the book, verse 22. Verse 22. Go ahead and read it.
The children of Shem, Elam and Asher and Arshphead and Lud and Aram.
Now Shem, these are the people that we came out of. And these are the ones that Abraham came out of. But these are the children. We named it Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Skip down to verse 32. Verse 32 and go ahead.
These are the families of the sons of Noah after their generations, in their nations, and by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood.
Now, if you didn't come out of these, you are not in the earth, sisters and brothers. You don't exist. Ham, Shem, and Japheth. That's one of the reasons, too, sisters and brothers, it's important for the priest to get on our job and teach the people we are one flesh.
That's right.
Might be different colors, different size, different heights, different languages, but everywhere you cut a man, the blood is red. Have y'all ever noticed that? Weird. Every male from among the species man can impregnate any female from among the species man. What's that tell you? Everybody's made up the same. So now, why? Because every one of us come from one father, which fathered 3 sons. And we all spoke the same language. Yep. We all was taught by the same father, and we all knew about God. This is what people don't understand. Like Abraham went out there and didn't tell this Pharaoh that Sarah was his wife. Right. And once he found it out, he said, man, look at you. What if somebody had laid with this woman? You could have got my whole nation in trouble. Why was he so upset? Because he also knew thou should not commit adultery. You understand?
Yep.
But we was all one nation, one people, brother. Skip now. Let's go into Genesis 11th chapter and start at verse 1. Genesis 11 and 1. Because this separation comes from ignorant sisters and brothers, not from intelligent people. Verse 1, go ahead.
And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there.
Now the whole earth spoke the same way. Why not? You had the same parent, right?
Yeah.
And so they went and they found a place in Shinar. Go ahead and read.
And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar.
Go ahead.
And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth.
Now, it was man's intention. All these brothers and cousins and nephews' intention was not to get scattered over all earth. So they was going to build them a tower, so no matter where you are, you always have your focal point. You can look back and go back home. Yep. They all spoke the same languages. But God didn't want that. So he intervened. Go ahead and read.
5. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language.
Go ahead.
And this they began to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do.
The Lord said, I got to interfere because this man here is real creative. If I don't put a stop to this, there ain't nothing he probably going to figure out how to live forever. So what did he do? Go ahead and read.
Go to. Let us go down and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech.
Go ahead.
So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city.
So now how did he scatter them? Change the language. I can almost see it now. I'm speaking English. Now tell Cornell, pass me a brick. He speaks Spanish now. Then he's going to turn around to the brother here and say, what's wrong with Bowie? But then he speaks French. He going to, what's wrong with you? And so after a while, everybody is going to get to the one among the ones that they can understand and say, look, them people have lost their mind. Nobody knows that the language has changed.
That's right.
They think they've been speaking the same thing all the time. Therefore, everybody else crazy. So we got us a group of sane people. We're going to all get away from all these crazy people. So who gave the languages to man, sister and brother?
Oh.
So why is it that some of my Hebrew brothers tell me that if I can't speak his name in Hebrew, he ain't going to hear me? Being that he gave up all the languages, no matter what I call him. If I call him by the name that the language called him, then I know him. He hear me, won't he? This is what we got to do, sisters and brothers. What I want to do is get away from little things. Because what's happening now, my brothers are doing like the Pharisees. They are gagging at gnats and swallowing up mountains. Little thing that mean nothing, the thing that means something like you the priest get back on your job. Don't pay that no attention. Go ahead.
9. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. And from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth.
So that's how the Lord did. He just gave everybody certain groups of people languages, different from the other, and everybody grouped off. If you understand one another, let's get away from these crazy people. Skip down to verse 26. Verse 26, and go ahead.
And Terah lived 70 years and begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran.
Now we're getting down to Abraham lineage now, sisters and brothers. We could have ran all of that down and come to it, but we can do that on your own. So we come down, we're dealing with Shem now. Yeah. And so now he had Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Go ahead and read.
Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran begat Lot.
Go ahead.
And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Chaldees.
Go ahead.
And Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abraham's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah. The daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah.
Go ahead.
But Sarai was barren. She had no child.
So now Abram, before he was named Abraham, his wife was barren. She couldn't have no children. So quite naturally, the Lord wanted to know Abraham wanted to know what's going on. How come my wife can't have no children? So he is going to petition the Lord, sisters and brothers. Let's skip down. Before he petitioned the Lord, let's see what Abraham did. His wife tried to step in and save his bacon. But sometimes you can't do that. You have to wait on the Lord, don't you? Yep. So let's go into the 16th chapter of Genesis. 16th chapter of Genesis. And we're going to start at verse 1. She couldn't have no baby. And in those days, women found it glorious to have a child. I mean, it was a good thing to have a child. Now when you have a child, oh no, how did I get caught? And that's the way it goes. But in these days, well, when you had a child, boy, you were something. Verse 1, 16:1. Go ahead.
Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bare him no children. And she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said unto Abram, Behold now, the Lord have restrained me from bearing.
Go ahead.
I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai.
He should have said, man, what's wrong with you, baby? I can't do that. Well, I guess Abram was a man too, right? He probably was dealing before she got through talking. Go ahead and read.
And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband, Abram, to be his wife.
So she took her handmaid and gave her to Abram to be her husband, to be his wife. Wait a minute. He had a wife. He can't have another one. Sisters and brothers, have you ever noticed that the word fornication is not even in the Ten Commandments? You know why? Because there's only wives, sisters and brothers. That's food for thought. Think about it. I know you don't want to start collecting wives because the government might tell you one day you got to feed them all. Now you got a problem. Think about it. I'm just hitting you. You're learning something on your way to learning something. Go ahead and read. What verse?
4. And he went into Hagar, and she conceived, and when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes.
Of course. You can't have no baby. I could, so I should have him and not you. I'm just letting you know what's going on. Why should you be the first wife? You can't have no babies. I can. And that was a big thing with all women, sisters and brothers, in those days. But she was despised in her eyes, and what happened? Go ahead and read.
And Sarai said unto Abram, My wrong be upon thee.
Go ahead.
I have given my maid into thy bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. The Lord judged between me and thee.
Go ahead.
But Abram said unto Sarai, Behold, thy maid is in thy hand. Do to her as it pleaseth thee. And when Sarai dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face.
Now Sarai must have really got bad on her, so she ran away. And the Lord is the one that met her and told her to go back. Skip down to verse 9. Verse 9 and go ahead.
And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Return to thy mistress and submit thyself under her hand. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for multitude.
Now, this Hagar is the mother of the Arabs, sisters and brothers. She was the victim here. And the Lord weighed in, so I'm going to multiply your seed. Go ahead and read.
And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael, because the Lord have heard thy affliction.
Now, this Ishmael, that's the name of the father of the Arabs. And look what the Lord said about this shoulder about Ishmael. Go ahead and read.
And he will be a wild man.
He's going to be a wild man?
His hand will be against every man.
His hand will be against every man. Go ahead and read.
And every man's hand against him.
And every man's hand against him. Boy, that's something, man.
Yes, sir.
A wild man. Sisters and brothers, think about what you just read. Who is everybody scared of now? Ishmaelites. Yep. You know, look at everybody the blowing up places over in this country, places in that country. People scared to ride the plane. Ishmaelites. That's why we that have some understanding know you do not mess with the Arabian. Don't holler at him. Don't talk about him. Don't talk about his God. Don't say nothing. You just say, okay, mister. Nice meeting you. Because the Lord made him what he is. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So when you know that, you be real smart. Leave Ishmael alone. Go ahead.
And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren.
And he's going to dwell in the presence of all his brethren. That means it's all his nation. All of them going to be around, sister and brother. They ain't going to be scattered like we are all over creation. Some migrated, but still all of them nations are intact. And they're all right there in the same place. Because the Lord said it was going to be like that, sister and brother. He's the one that set this whole thing up. But now, Ishmael was Sarai's answer to her not being able to have a child. But then God got an answer too. Sometimes you have to wait on him, sister and brother.
That's right.
Let's go into the 17th chapter of Genesis. Genesis chapter 17. Let's start at verse 1. 17 and 1. Okay, go ahead.
And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him,
Go ahead.
I am the Almighty God. Walk before me and be thou perfect.
Now, the Lord know that man can't be perfect, but he sure told him, try. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you can't ever get close if you don't try. You have to try. Go ahead and read.
And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying,
Go ahead.
As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations.
And you're going to be a father of many nations. He is physically, but also he is the father of the faithful, sisters and brothers.
Yes.
This is a physical and a spiritual title that God gave him. Go ahead and read.
Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham.
Go ahead.
For a father of many nations have I made thee.
See, Ham means many, sisters and brothers. So he gave him a name to fit the title that you're going to have. Father of many physical flesh and blood nations, but he's also the father of the faithful. Yeah. Skip down to verse 7 and read it.
And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee in their generation for an everlasting covenant.
Go ahead.
To be a God unto thee and to thy seed after thee.
I'm going to establish my covenant with thee and your seed. This is what people don't understand, sisters and brothers. Abraham is the only one that God gave promises to. If you don't believe me, go to Galatians the 3rd chapter and read the last 2-3 verses, and it will tell you, if you baptize into Christ, then you have become Christ. Then are you Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. He said there's no male, no female, no Greek, no Jew. You're all one in Christ Jesus. In order to become Abraham's seed, you have to be baptized in the name of Jesus. Because he is the only one that God made a promise to. He said to him and his seed only. What verse was that?
I finished 7.
Skip down to verse 15. Verse 15. And go ahead. We're going to have a little look at something here. Go ahead and read.
And God said unto Abraham, As for Sarai thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be.
Go ahead.
And I will bless her, and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of many nations. Kings of people shall be of her.
Now look, sisters and brothers, the book tells you that Abraham believed God, and it was counted to him for righteousness. But he had a little apprehension here now. Because he said, Sarah, your wife going to have a baby.
Right.
King's going to come out of him. But what did Abraham do here? Go ahead and read.
17. Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed, and said in his heart, Shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah, that is 90 years old, bear?
He didn't believe God, sisters and brothers, at the beginning. He fell on his face and he laughed. Look, I'm 100 years old. My old lady is 90 years old, and we going to make a baby? But see, God can read your mind. And look what the Lord said to Abraham. Go ahead and read.
And Abraham said unto God, Oh, that Ishmael might live before thee.
He said, look, I already got me a son. Why don't you make a covenant with him? Because he's sure that God couldn't make him have no baby.
Right.
But what did God say? Go ahead.
And God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant and with his seed after him.
So I'm going to start my covenant with him and with his seed after him, the one you're going to have by Sarah. Go ahead and read.
And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him and will make him fruitful and will multiply him exceedingly.
Go ahead.
12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation.
He said, now I heard you concerning Ishmael. I'm going to make him a great nation. He's going to beget 12 princes. That's why since the Arabs took over Egypt, they called it the 13th Arab state. Ain't no 13th Arab state. Egypt belongs to Ham. Ishmael came out of Shem. And so even though his mama was a Hamite, you are what your daddy is. So he still have the 12 nations, and he's still living among his brethren. He said, I heard him. I'm going to make 12 princes out of him. But go ahead and read.
21. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year.
He said, but look, I'm going to make him a great nation. But my covenant I'm going to make with Isaac, and she and Sarah are going to have your wife baby about this time next year. So let's see what happened. Let's go in the 21st chapter of Genesis. 21st chapter of Genesis. Because people get all into Paul writing and all that and don't have a clue about the Old Testament. Don't have a clue how man came into existence. They don't have a clue how God operates. Because don't nobody bother to go back and kind of walk the history a little bit. Genesis 21, we're going to start at verse 5. Genesis 21 and verse 5. Okay, verse 1, brother. 21 and 1. Genesis 21 and 1. Go ahead.
And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken.
Go ahead.
For Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age at the set time of which God had spoken to him.
Go ahead.
And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old, as God had commanded him.
So he had this son, and he named him Isaac, and he circumcised it, because that is the covenant too also, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him.
Now, we have Isaac on the scene, the one that he said going to bring the covenant through. Now, let's go and look at Isaac now, sisters and brothers. This is how we find out. We're going to get each one of these sons and walk it right on down to where we are now. Now, let's go into Genesis, the 25th chapter. Genesis chapter 25. And we're going to start reading at verse 19. Genesis 25 and verse 19. So Sarah had Isaac, and Isaac have gotten grown, because the Lord had already told Abraham to go and sacrifice Isaac. So when Isaac went out, Abraham took Isaac out there to sacrifice him. He called from heaven. He said, don't touch the boy. He said, now that I know that thou fearest me, because thou have not withheld thy son, thine only son. But we know that Isaac was not Abraham's only son. Ishmael was his son also. But the difference was, Isaac was the son of the covenant.
That's right.
That's why I tell people all the time, if you ain't under the covenant, God don't know you. That's why I said in Galatians, the 3rd chapter, you have to become Jesus, be baptized into Jesus, become a part of the covenant that God made with Abraham, sisters and brothers. That's why I tell people all the time, when you get baptized, you just come under the covenant. Before that, you were just walking. Dead woman, dead man walking. Once you come under the covenant, the Lord know you. And this covenant came down through Abraham and Isaac, and we're going to pick it up at Jacob. But we're going to start at verse 19, the generation of Isaac. Go ahead and read.
And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife.
Go ahead.
The daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padanaram, the sister to Laban, the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived.
So he had another barren sister. But she prayed, and the Lord heard her, and she conceived. Go ahead and read.
And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus?
Now she's pregnant, and she had babies in her stomach fighting with one another. She wanted to know why. Go ahead and read.
And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels.
Go ahead.
And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger.
Now, who are those 2 nations? These are 2 different nations. 2 different. Who was that? That was us and the one that's saying that they are us. He said, I'm going to separate them at the bow. And that's what I tell people, like I said, what God put together, let nobody put asunder.
That's right.
What God separate, can't nobody bring together. It's all that simple.
That's right.
Because you said that you are me, and I said that I am you. Somebody's lying. How long we going to get along in peace and harmony? Ain't going to happen. That don't mean you're going to go out and fight and shoot and carry on. What you do is don't put yourself in no position where you can be harmed. He said, I'm going to separate them at the bow. Yep. Go ahead and read.
24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment.
Go ahead.
And they called his name Esau.
Now that's where Esau came from, red and hairy. Go ahead and read.
And after that came his brother out. And his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them.
Now, didn't give Jacob no color, no nothing, did it? No. But we know who it was. But Isaac was 60 years old when he had them. Go ahead and read.
And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents.
Go ahead.
And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob.
Now you had 2 different boys here, one loved by the mama and one loved by the daddy. Go ahead and read.
And Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom.
Now this man went hunting one time and didn't kill nothing. One day. And he told me he's faint. Feed me, please. One day. Jacob said, okay then, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll feed you. Go ahead and read.
31. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die.
Go ahead.
What profit shall this birthright do to me?
He said, sell me your birthright. So look, did Jacob steal this?
No, sir.
He said, I'll tell you what. Give me a birthright. He said, hey, look, I'm about to die. One day this man did. He hadn't fasted but one day, and he said he was about to die. What good is this birthright going to do me? Go ahead and read.
And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he sware unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright.
So now, you have people running around telling me, well, Esau, Jacob, that means supplanter. That's correct. He stole the blessing. He didn't steal the blessing. No. He bought it. Right. If the blessing come with the birthright. What he did is what we have to do a lot of times. We buy something, then we have to turn around and steal it. Because we bought it, and the one that we bought it from is trying to keep it. And we have always been mama's boys. So now, Esau vowed to kill Jacob after Jacob got the blessing that he had purchased. And Jacob had to leave and go down and hide from his own brother. And he went out into Egypt, and Jacob became a nation. What I'm doing is I'm going from history now, sisters and brothers. Because Jacob had 12 sons, which is 12 tribes of Israel. But when they went out in Egypt, it was just 70 souls. But they became a nation down in Egypt. They was down there 430 years. Then they came up out of Egypt as a nation, sisters and brothers. And they had 3 kings to rule over here. But before they went out in Egypt, the Lord adopted Jacob when he was just an individual. Let's look at this adoption. Let's go on to Genesis, the 35th chapter. Because the Lord passed the covenant from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. And when he made that covenant, he adopted Jacob. 35:1. Genesis 35 and verse 1. Okay, go ahead.
And God said unto Jacob, Arise, go up to Bethuel and dwell there, and make there an altar unto God, that appeared unto thee when thou fleddest from the face of Esau thy brother.
He said, you know that place where you went to sleep and you saw that ladder coming from heaven, which is Bethel? I want you to go back there, and I want you to make an altar. The same place you was when you was running from Esau, when you thought he was going to kill you.
Right.
I want you to go back there and make an altar. And Jacob did as the Lord said. And what else did the Lord say to Jacob? Skip down to verse 9. Verse 9, and read it.
And God appeared unto Jacob again when he came out of Padanaram and blessed him. And God said unto him, Thy name is Jacob. Thy name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name. And he called his name Israel.
Now the Lord had already adopted Jacob, but he reiterated that you are still my adoptee. So I'm going to give you my name. When you adopt somebody, you let them have your name. You don't let them retain their own name. So now Israel, which is a son of God, sisters and brothers, he grew, became a nation, went out in Egypt, was there for 430 years, and he came out of Egypt as a nation. And what the world don't know is that when he came out, only 3 kings ruled over the whole nation of Israel. Only 3, sisters and brothers. And after the third one, and because of his misbehaving, which is Solomon, he separated the nation. First king Israel ever had was Saul. That's the one the Apostle Paul was named after. Second king Israel ever had was David. And the third king that Israel had was Solomon. And after Solomon ruled, and because of his misbehavior, the Lord split the nation. We have been split from that day to this one.